Hello, hello. JD Grauspitz here, lead singer and streaming talent of Malignant Bear. We're coming at you today with our Streamiversary and 2021 recap video. We've been streaming now for a full year, and we wanted to commemorate that with a little something and just talk about the year in general, and of course some of our games of the year, considering that's the main thing that we do on stream. So I figured we would have a video for that. So I apologize for the awkward hiding of the Game of the Year picks over there. We'll talk about those later. You can see one of them kind of peeking out, and it should be obvious what it is, based on what I played and how much I talked about it. But before we go into that, I wanted to talk about the year in general and some of our statistics for the year as well. So, Malignant Bear is, of course, Liechtenstein's former premier glam rock band, and due to global situations, we unfortunately cannot get together as we normally would to actually be a band. It's a little hard to, have shows, perform, get studio space, all those normal things that bands do. So I started streaming just as a way to kind of keep busy in the time that I have and the off time that I have, and just have some fun and share one of my other passions and interests with people and rope the band in when I can. Of course, the band is quite large. There's a lot of us all over the world, and we'll talk about that at some point in the future. We'll get into more history of the band, some of our lore and backstories and everything. But it's been fun. It's been interesting. Again, I started it as just sort of a side project of something to do, and I know that the quality is certainly not there in the early videos for sure, and in some other ones. There's definitely times when I've been tired or disinterested in a game, and it happens. Obviously, no secret that myself and the entire rest of the band, we have full-time careers on top of this. This is not streaming, and content creation is certainly not a full-time thing for us at the moment. So maybe in the future, who knows? But again, realistically, this is just something for fun that mainly I do, and they are nice enough to help me out with. But anyway, our first stream was back on December 19th of 2020, and we started off with Half-Life 2, one of my favorite games of all time, and definitely a very scuffed stream. I hadn't played it in a number of years and had no idea what I was doing in terms of both the game and the stream. And we wanted to commemorate that. My initial plan actually was to do Half-Life Alyx in December of this year. Unfortunately, streaming VR is a little more involved than I thought it would be, and I'm still working through some of the issues with that. Rest assured, though, that is going to come, and I have played it. It is absolutely fantastic, and the only reason it's not on the Game of the Year list this year is because there's probably a 100% chance it'll top it next year. So, but since then, we've had 145 streams, 36 videos. I have made 210 thumbnails, played 111 different games, put out 11 karaoke covers, and we've had 9 band collabs. And those numbers are just counting what has actually seen the light of day. There was several more streams, including several collabs that unfortunately had to be purged from existence for various reasons, mostly technical difficulties or problems with the games that we were trying to play, which is a shame, but it happens. That's the nature of live content creation. And I think that's one of the reasons why I prefer the live content creation. There's a little bit more leeway in terms of having issues, potentially, so it does make it a little more fun and interesting when there's that element of randomness to it. And I like the videos as well. I know I do them very, very casually, very kind of slapdash, in a similar notion to the streams, but again, that's just the style of content creation that I prefer. As far as the thumbnails go, obviously, I've mentioned previously that I make all of those as well, and I know that we've gotten some comments and things about that our thumbnails they're not professional, they're not good, they don't draw people in enough. I personally hate the clickbaity thumbnails of someone's over-exaggerated face and a big block of text, and you won't believe this, and that's terrible, and I definitely hate that. all the thumbnails are jokes that play into the game that we're playing, and I like that, and I like to continue with that. And they are very purposely scuffed and silly. Again, they're just stock images or the artwork for the band, just kind of molded over that. And I think that's fun and goofy. And again, that's the whole point of this. This is supposed to be fun and enjoyable, not just for me, but hopefully for the rest of the band and the viewers as well. And we try to keep with that. So, and again, I try to be laid back with this. Obviously, on stage, given that we are a glam rock band, is very different than this. So this is a definite change of pace to be a little more kind of laid back and casual. Of course, there's times when I get very into a game or very heated, but for the most part, I like to keep it mellow. And I think that the overall content of the channel kind of reflects that in terms of, you know, the games we play and the thumbnails and my speaking voice and everything. And I hope that other people enjoy that and resonate with it. And of course, these numbers, like I said, so this is just the things that saw the light of day. There was more song covers that didn't quite make it that I was not happy with. I changed mics fairly recently, so we'll be probably doing some more song covers going forward. I had a very nice USB but condenser mic, and unfortunately my current streaming setup is less than ideal for that. The amount of noise suppression that I needed to not pick up literally everything really cut into my notes. Not that I'm, you know, an amazing singer by any means, but I'm better than the content that we've put out. Of course, producers and sound engineers help a lot with that in the real world, but I know I can do better, so I've been disappointed with our song covers, and we're going to try to do better with those going forward. We're going to try to do more collabs as well, not just with the band, but potentially outside them as well. Obviously, we haven't made a big, you know, sort of marketing push or, you know, worked with other streamers or anything like that. I know that's a big thing that lots of content creators do, and we're in a unique position that as a band, we have dedicated people that we can collab with, the other band members. So it hasn't seemed maybe potentially necessary, especially for how casually I'm taking this, but it might be worth it to put in more of the effort. I mean, it's not might be worth it. It would definitely be worth it to put in more of the effort and do more things and touch base with more people and improve the streams that way. So I've put in a lot of work on the back end to improve my setup and the tech I use, and definitely to get more comfortable with this type of content creation as opposed to an actual in-person live audience. And I think that has paid off. Again, still very, very kind of casual and fun and silly, but I think there is definite improvement. But I think the next step to do that would be to get some more people involved and go from there, and potentially, you know, improve some other things, get some more artwork, maybe some more original songs, overlays, things of that nature, and just keep constantly improving. Maybe in the next year we'll be streaming less, putting out less content, but it'll be higher quality. Who knows? But definitely lots of things to think about there. And who knows what the world situation might be. Maybe we'll have more time to do things off stream. But yeah, definitely a lot to think about and talk about in terms of what we did this year. And I'll be going into this a little bit more detailed. We're going to have another stream to start the year off with, start 2022 off with, where we talk about some of the things and some of our plans for the future, and that should be enjoyable. But just wanted to put these stats up here and show off just some of the things that we've did. Definitely a busy year. Didn't expect to be doing this as much as I did, or to enjoy it as much as I did. Again, being in a band, I'm used to a live audience and being able to feed off that energy and do that. So this is a very different experience. And of course you get some of that with viewership for sure. But it's still, it's not the same. It'll never be the same as seeing people in person, as anyone who is, swapped from in-person work to Zoom meetings, for example, can attest to, it is different. So, but anyway, enough about all of that. So in those 111 games that I played on stream this year, we completed a good number of them, and some of them were just sort of quick looks and things like that. I also played a number of games off stream, certainly not that many, but a decent amount. And the rest of the band did as well. Of course, they only showed up in a few collabs, unfortunately, but all of them also enjoy some gaming in their off time. And we put together a list of our games of the year, and we do this a little bit different. These are not games that came out in 2021. These are just the best or our most favorite games that we happen to play in this year. So similar to, I guess, Video Game Junkie does that. We wanted to do the same, so let's take a look at our list. So first up, we have my picks, and these should probably be no surprise based on what I streamed and talked about. Neo 2, definitely up there. Although it only got about 3 hours worth of content on the channel, it got about 200 hours worth of playtime off the channel. That is one of the best games I've ever played. Just the complete package. The story was a little weak, but it was still enough to keep you interested. But the gameplay was just fantastic. There was a moment where it clicked, and still to this day, months later, I have issues with other action games as a result, because they are just not as satisfying as that was. Similar to that, we played a lot of Metroidvanias this year, and of them, Deedlit and Wonder Labyrinth rose to the top. And I know a lot of people are probably thinking, but JD, you played Hollow Knight this year. How is that not on your top 10 or your top 5 there? And, another game with an H. And I'm going to get yelled at for this, but I think Hollow Knight is good, but I think it's a little bit overrated. It's an excellent game, don't get me wrong, but I think it dragged on a little bit in parts. And Deedlit is just a very good game, and it doesn't overstay its welcome. The mechanics in it work just perfectly. It has a fantastic art style, a good soundtrack. Everything about it worked for me, and that's why it cracked my list here. Hollow Knight was a close contender there for sure, but Deedlit edged it out. Absolutely. Hades is another one that made the list. We played quite a lot of roguelikes and roguelites this year, but Hades is far and away the best of them. There's a reason why it made so many people's Game of the Year list the year it came out, and everyone recommends it. We didn't go for a full completion on stream. I got to the last boss on stream, and that was the game that we streamed on Twitch. The VODs are up on the channel though, and I've played it significantly more off stream. Absolutely fantastic game. Very easy to recommend for anyone. Even if you're not good at games, I think just the presentation of it is good enough to keep you interested. So, easy choice there. Hedon was a very late addition to this list and edged out some other things. But we put out a video on that fairly recently, and it is my favorite, absolute favorite of the boomer shooters. So the games styled on sort of Doom and Quake from the 90s. And it has a lot in common with them, and a lot in common with a game like Thief, for example, where there's just massive, well-built levels for you to explore and interact with and do things in. The game is fast and fluid and fun, 100% knows what it is, and just nails everything about it. And I absolutely appreciate games like that, and that's why it made the list. And Yakuza Zero, ending it off there. This might be a surprising one because the streams for this definitely had some difficulties, but I loved this game. Absolutely loved it. And it's a shame that the PC port has some issues, especially in the audio department, that just don't come through properly on stream. But just, it's amazing. It's the over-the-top silliness of a soap opera, just in a very fun and unique setting. The characters are great, they're larger than life. My only complaint with it, other than the PC port, was that the combat does get a little tiring. There's no point in it where you get good enough that you're just gonna roll through it, because there's just an awful lot of it. The only reason we didn't finish it on stream, other than the tech issues, is that it's also potentially a 100-hour game if you're going to 100% all the content in it. And that's too long to stream, especially for, again, someone who is not doing this full time. so that's why we didn't stream that fully, and we had those big gaps in it as well. It's a difficult game to stream for a very casual content creator, but still easily in my top 5. And of course I asked the band as well, and I agree with a lot of these picks, but again, these are not games that came out this year, but just games that the band enjoyed this year. A lot of us enjoyed Deep Rock Galactic. Several of the band members put that up as their game of the year, so definitely shout out to Rock and Stone there. A very good game, fantastic community as well. I know people talk about that a lot, but it's everything I would want out of a good co-op multiplayer game. So easy recommendation there. Genshin Impact, this one will be controversial, of course. It's a free-to-play gacha game, and this made my list last year, and someone else in the band put it up this year, and it almost cracked my list again this year as well, in fact. It's Breath of the Wild with some gacha elements. I still enjoy it. It's fun. It's enjoyable to just go in and sort of mess around for a little bit, explore the world, do some little side quests and content, see the characters and everything that they've added. It's not without issues, but it's still fun and easy to get into, so it's hard not to recommend it. And especially because even as a free-to-play game with gacha elements, you can do quite a lot of it without having to spend a dime, and that's pretty good, especially in the age where there's a lot of very predatory microtransactions and things. Very different and not casual at all is Pathfinder Kingmaker, and this is one that I played as well, and I enjoyed it. Not as much as the band member that put it up on the list here, but I wanted to shout it out. It's very fun. It's an old school RPG in similar vein to like the original Neverwinter Nights or Baldur's Gate. It's very in-depth, lots of writing, lots of content. This is potentially a 150-hour game. It's fun. I certainly enjoyed it. The biggest issue with it, for me at least, was the time constraint of the game. Everything is time-based, and some people resonate with that more than others. So, a lot of content there, and it's good content, but it has some issues, and I'm curious to check out the sequel that came out fairly recently. Next time it goes on sale with all the DLC, I'll probably pick that up. Another one, though, is Terraria, and a couple of the band members put this up here. Of course, Terraria is pretty old, still getting content fairly recently, and just still a fantastic game. So I'm always glad to hear people jump in and play it and experience it, and get to have fun with it, because it is a very good experience, especially with your friends. So hard not to recommend. There's really not a lot to say about Terraria. Everybody knows about it. Most people have played it by now, or at least seen it, but I'm glad to see it made the list here. Another one that actually did come out in the current year was Ratchet & Clank Rift Apart. So some of the band members were actually lucky enough to get their hands on a PS5 and played it and loved it. So I've played some of the Ratchet & Clank games in the past, and I've plenty of friends and some of the band members that do as well, but they said that this was their favorite one of the series so far, and just overall very enjoyable and a good sort of next-gen experience. So I'm curious to see how that will be. Maybe someday I'll be able to snag a PS5 or borrow one from someone and stream some games from it, but definitely wanted to put that one on there. And of course, last but not least, the critically acclaimed MMO Final Fantasy XIV with the free trial that everybody knows the meme. But yeah, Final Fantasy XIV is phenomenal. I've played it in the past. I don't have the time for MMOs anymore, unfortunately. If I did, it would be Final Fantasy. It is a very good game and absolutely deserves all the acclaim that it's gotten. And one of the band members plays it and enjoys it, and we wanted to make sure that it made the list as well. So we don't usually stream large-scale multiplayer games like that. I prefer games where, you know, we can have a set team in a lobby and everything and have a little bit more control over it. But even with that, if I was to stream a large-scale game, Final Fantasy would be a pretty good one, because the community in it is very good, and even from seeing the experience of some, you know, big-name streamers doing it, they weren't harassed or anything like that. So some potential there for sure. Maybe someday when I get a little bit more time. But yeah, those are our games of the year. We didn't want to pick just one. That's too hard to do. So, a top 5 for me and some other favorites from the rest of the band. And some of these picks were from members you've seen on stream, and some of them from people you have not. So again, Malignant Bear is quite the large former premier glam rock band based out of Liechtenstein. So you probably won't ever see all the members, but they're around, and they're helping in their own way with the streams and the content and the things that we're doing. But yeah, this is our 2021 recap. And again, our little celebration of our Streamiversary. Like I said, it's a shame we couldn't do Half-Life Alyx. That will be coming, though. That was my first and only pick for something to celebrate the anniversary, but that will be happening. And, of course, more content coming in 2022. Hopefully some better content again. More confident and comfortable with what I'm doing. And definitely enjoying it. So we want to keep up that trend going forward. But anyway, as always, we do hope you enjoyed this video, this nice recap, and we hope in general that you enjoy the content that we've been putting out. It seems like a lot based on these numbers, but it's nothing compared to plenty of other content creators. Of course, they're doing it full time. And again, questionable quality, but we're always working on that, always trying to improve. We know that there's things that we can do. I know that there's things that I can do to make it better. And we hope you're enjoying that. And have a safe and happy new year. And we'll see you in the next one.